What if you can get the same feeling of not having to move? You just stand still and everyone around you is affected by your presence, to the point of running around and falling down without you even having to lift a finger. Your aura alone is just too much for everyone to handle. In today's video, I'm going to go over the build for the Terrorized Dragondin, one that clears terror zones very quickly and starts exploding everything within sight.
My explosion of satisfaction.
I'm going to go over the attributes, the skill tree, the gear for my character and my mercenary, and afterwards I'm going to show you guys some gameplay so you could see this build in action. But do keep in mind that when it comes to this build, there are different ways you can be able to gear the character depending on your needs, whether you're trying to go for maximum DPS, you're trying to do a magic find character, or a hybrid of the two. Just keep in mind when it comes to looking at the gear choices that I'm going to be choosing, that you can choose alternative gear depending on the demand that you have for your build. Before we actually get into the build, the comment shout out for this video is going to be BlueQuill80, whom on a community post asking a question regarding streaming, says that they are enjoying the content on the channel. I'm really stoked that you do, and it's because of people like you watching and liking the videos that makes creating more videos that much more fun and rewarding to do. More videos coming very soon. Now let's go ahead and get into the video. For the attributes, nothing is needed for strength, then enough dexterity to be able to have 75% chance to block when Holy Shield is buffed up, and the rest of the points are put into vitality. For the skill trees, starting with the defensive aura skill tree, I maxed out resist fire and salvation as they will synergize the holy fire aura that we'll be using with this build. Moving on to the offensive aura skill tree, conviction needs to be at the negative 145 resist all so that once battle command is used, it'll then increase to the max of negative 150 resist all. Lastly, for the combat skills tree, 1 point into Holy Shield to be able to increase our defense, then maxing Sacrifice as it synergizes the main skill to deal damage aside from the Holy Fire Pulse. Zeal. And it's best to max out Zeal last of all the skills maxed out on this build, as all the other skills that are maxed out are more of a priority to truly max the potential of the damage with this build. For the gear, do keep in mind that this is a hero edited character. All the items that you see here are not single self found on single player offline, nor do I play online to be able to have someone assist me with helping me get these items to then showcase in this video. I wanted to put this build together myself to be able to show if it would be worth the time and the resources needed to be able to make it effective, in case anyone would be curious to be able to build this out for themselves, and also just for the spectacle of the concept itself. For the gear, there are some traditional items to use, some very expensive additional options as well, but I wanted to try something that was inspired by a previous build guide that I did. For the helm, it's Flickering Flame for the level 7 resist fire aura when equipped, plus to fire skills, negative 14% enemy fire resistance, and mana. Because this build moves around without teleporting, but still needs to be able to have some increased attack speed, I'm going to be using Cat's Eye for the faster run walk, increased attack speed, and dexterity to help reach max block easier and help allocate more points into vitality. The armor and shield are dual dragons for the level 14 holy fire aura from each one, chance to cast Hydra on striking for more fire damage, small boost to attributes, resistances, and strength based on character level. The weapon is a Hand of Justice Phase Blade for the level 16 Holy Fire Aura, which will stack with the Holy Fire Auras from the Dragon Armor and Shield, but it also has increased attack speed, ignore target's defense, life leech, negative 20% to enemy fire resistance, 20% deadly strike, and freezes target. The boots are Gore Riders for the faster run walk, crushing blow, deadly strike, and open wounds. But most wouldn't need any of that to be able to go down, as this build does a lot of damage before even getting to whatever it is that you're trying to kill. The first ring is a Ravenfrost ring for the Cannot Be Frozen, dexterity, mana, and attack rating. The belt is a crafted caster belt for strength and resistances. However, the option for the belt is open depending on what you are wanting to focus on additionally for this build. The second ring is a rare dual leech, attack rating, life, mana, and resistance ring. The gloves are crafted blood gloves for the increased attack speed, dual leech, and crushing blow. On switch, I'm going to be using the CTA and spirit combo to be able to boost our skills, life, and mana. Now for the inventory, this is where it gets interesting. There's the cube, bolt tomes, Annie, torch, and in following the build guide that it did for the Shaman Barbarian that utilizes the poison damage small charms, he's going to be using fire damage small charms to add additional damage with the melee attacks for anything that doesn't quickly die from the pulse damage. And the last charm is the Flame Rift Sunder charm to ensure that nothing is fire immune. For the additional stats, he has 17% life leech, 9% mana leech, 73% increased attack speed, 25% crushing blow, 35% deadly strike, and negative 34% to enemy fire resistance. With the Mercenary, since I'm going to be using Conviction myself, I'm going to be using an Act 5 Frenzy Barb with Andario's Visage socketed with a 15% IAS, Fire Res Jewel, Chains of Honor for the body armor, and the weapons are what I typically run with my own Frenzy Barb that goes through Ubers, Grief, and Last Wish. This way, if it's needed, he can proc Life Tap to be able to supplement our health, and he procs Fade for his physical damage reduction. This merc is great to use for running terror zones, which is primarily where this build is going to be played. However, because this build doesn't really need a Mercenary, if you want to make supplementing your health much easier and go more budget, you can run an Act 2 Prayer Mercenary, using Insight for the Meditation Aura, and the Cure Helm for the Cleansing Aura, as technically, Meditation and Cleansing are treated as prayer auras without costing mana, of which Synergize Prayer to be able to have your health constantly be replenished very quickly. Again, the Mercenary isn't a true necessity, but these are two options that you can use for this build, depending if you want to run Terror Zones exclusively, or just want to have fun farming all over the game. Now that we've discussed the attributes, the skill trees, the gear for my character, and my Mercenary, let's go ahead and check out this build in action to see how well it actually plays out. This build can be quite ridiculous, with certain areas of the game not even needing you to use Zeal, but simply just walk around and have the pulse damage kill everything for you. For example, I'm not going to be using Zeal at all, but I'm just going to walk around and watch how the pulse damage kills all the cows. With the gameplay, for anyone who'd be curious as to which player settings I'm using for my build guides, the past, presently on screen, and in the future, down in the bottom left corner is what the example gameplay being shown is currently at. Despite not having Enigma, this build moves around quite fast, especially if you have Hustle handy, possibly in the cube, and get a couple of hits to be able to get the Burst of Speed proc, and then switch back to Hand of Justice and see how fast you can really beat. This build flies around the map faster than most would be able to teleport and clear the same space. For countless years, fire builds were more on the back burner for many players' preferred build choices. Not because they weren't fun, but they were limited with their full damage potential, as well as they were quite limited with where they could farm throughout the game. However, with the introduction to Sunder Charms, as well as the patch updates since C2R's release, has helped to make builds like this more viable and fun to play, adding more value and giving more justification to the high rune cost to be able to make this Dragondin build. Builds like this typically aren't my choice of playstyle, as far as using pulse damage over only using melee damage. However, I enjoyed trying this character out and seeing the full damage potential with this build. Terror Zones are fun to play with this build, especially with the Mercenary helping with the life tap proccing to ensure better survivability. This build is a walk in the park for most areas, and even if you become swarmed, as you work your way through enemies, everything will be getting pulse damaged until you reach them, of which then will take very little effort to kill and hopefully drop you some GG gear. As this build guide comes to its conclusion, if you enjoyed this type of video and want to see more, check out my build guides playlist that's going to be in the card in the top right corner of your screen. I have a mix of endgame, budget, and niche builds that I'm sure you'll enjoy. And for builds that I haven't yet made, feel free to leave your suggestions for future videos down in the comment section below. And that's going to wrap it up for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and were able to see if this build would be something that you would be interested in going into the future, and if anything, at least just enjoyed the video. If you like this kind of content and want to see more, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notification to be notified whenever a new video comes out.
Come on. Come on. Come on, then. There you are. There you are.
And if you like this video, please let me know by leaving a like. It really is appreciated to be able to help my channel to grow. And if you want to see more of my Diablo 2 Resurrected content, make sure to click the card in the corner up above to check out my Diablo 2 Resurrected playlist with a lot of videos already in it, with a lot more coming in the very near future. Other than that, I hope you guys are staying safe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.